At 9 p.m., inside a small and popular Florida convenience store, a woman was doing something ordinary, stocking shelves, helping customers, finishing her shift. Minutes later, she was gone, and the man who ended her life shared her last name. There are crimes that shake a city, and then there are crimes that break a family. This one happened in Apopka, Florida, a modest town, quiet streets, a place where people know which store to stop at on their way home. Griffin General Store wasn't just a business. It was routine, familiar, safe, until the night it wasn't. How does a disagreement between siblings turn into a murder-suicide? How does anger grow strong enough to silence blood? And could anyone have seen it coming? February 6th, 2026. It was a Friday night. Inside Griffin General Store, Schenita Swift was working her shift. Reports confirmed she was behind the counter when her brother, Ezra Swift, entered the store. There was no public disturbance before that moment. No alarms, no chaos. Just a brother walking into a store where his sister worked. Witnesses later told investigators the two began arguing. Authorities have not publicly detailed the exact cause of the dispute, but they confirmed it escalated quickly. Then, boom, gunfire. Ezra Swift shot his sister inside the store. Moments later, he turned the weapon on himself. Both died at the scene. No customers were injured. Police described it as an isolated domestic incident between family members. But isolated doesn't capture what this does to a community. If you walked into your local store tonight, would you ever imagine something like this happening? Have you ever had a disagreement with someone you love that went further than it should have? Tell me in the comments. Do you think arguments between family members carry a different kind of danger? Sibling relationships are complicated. They carry childhood memories, rivalries, loyalty, old wounds. Sometimes those things fade with time. Sometimes they don't. Public records show no widespread media reports of prior criminal incidents between Ezra and Schenita. There were no public warnings that something explosive was about to happen that night, which raises a painful question. Was this building quietly, or did something snap in a single moment? Investigators confirm the evidence, and witness statements support a murder-suicide following an argument. But arguments don't begin at gunfire. They begin somewhere else, in frustration, in pride, in words that cut deeper than we expect. And once a firearm is involved, the space for regret disappears. Let's return to that store for a moment. Bright lights overhead, a counter separating employee and customer. Security cameras watching without judgment. Those cameras now hold the last recorded moments of a sister's life. Think about that. A workplace, a place where she earned a living, became the place where her life ended. There is something deeply unsettling about violence crossing into everyday spaces. Not a dark alley, not a remote highway, a neighborhood store. For many watching this, especially those who have worked retail jobs, this hits close to home. You show up, you clock in, you expect to go home. Schenita did not. If you've ever worked in a small business like that, how would you feel knowing something like this happened in a place just like yours? Would it change how safe you feel? Here's what authorities confirmed. The shooting occurred around 9 p.m. It took place inside Griffin General Store in Apopka, Florida. Ezra Swift fatally shot his sister, Schenita Swift. He then shot himself. Police determined it was a domestic-related incident. No ongoing threat to the public. Clear, clinical, official. But behind that summary are parents, cousins, neighbors. Family members later expressed shock to media outlets. They described the violence as sudden and unexpected. When something like this happens, families search for signs they may have missed. Did someone notice anger growing? Did someone dismiss a warning? Or was this truly an eruption no one saw forming? We cannot ignore the role of the firearm. In many domestic killings in the United States, a gun turns heated emotion into irreversible action within seconds. Without it, arguments might cool. With it, arguments can end lives. This case joins a long list of family-related shootings across the country. But when it's brother and sister, not romantic partners, the shock feels different. There's something sacred about siblings. They share history before adulthood ever begins. To see that bond end this way forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about anger and access to weapons. Would this argument have ended differently if no gun had been present? That's not speculation. It's a question worth asking. Apopka police made clear there was no ongoing danger. But safety isn't just physical, it's emotional. The employees who worked alongside Schenita, the customers who were there that night, the first responders who walked into that store, they carry images most of us will never see. And in small towns, people remember. They remember where they were. They remember who called them. They remember the flashing lights outside a familiar building. If you live in a small community, you understand this. News travels quickly, healing travels slowly. Do you believe small towns recover differently from tragedies like this? Share your thoughts. I read your comments carefully. And if these stories matter to you, don't forget to like and subscribe to Bear Intel. Now we come to the question many people ask. Why? Police have not released detailed motives publicly. No elaborate conspiracy, no hidden network, just a dispute that escalated into violence. Sometimes the answer is not dramatic. Sometimes it is simply anger mixed with access to a weapon. And sometimes that simplicity is what makes it harder to accept. We want a complex explanation. We want warning signs. We want a villain we can easily label. But real life is often messier and harder. When violence happens between strangers, families grieve one person. In murder-suicides, families grieve two. Parents lose a daughter and a son. Relatives must mourn someone taken from them and the person who caused it. That creates a unique burden. How do you hold sorrow and confusion at the same time? How do you attend funerals filled with mixed emotions? For those watching who are parents or grandparents, imagine being the parent in this story. How would you survive that? There are no courtroom updates in this case. No long trial, no sentencing. It ended in that store, which means the lessons must come from us. Recognizing escalating anger, taking threats seriously, encouraging safe firearm storage, reaching out when family conflicts begin to intensify. These aren't dramatic solutions, they are steady ones, and steady solutions are often the most powerful. On February 6, 2026, a woman went to work in Apopka, Florida. She likely thought about ordinary things: bills, family, dinner plans. She did not know her brother would walk through the door. She did not know it would be their final conversation. By the end of that night, 2 lives were gone, and a town was left asking how a shared childhood could end with gunfire. Violence inside a family feels different. It reminds us that love does not cancel conflict, and conflict, when fueled by anger and access to a weapon, can change everything in seconds. So tonight, maybe we check in on someone. Maybe we step away from an argument. Maybe we store a firearm more carefully. Because sometimes prevention isn't loud. It's quiet choices made before the moment arrives. What do you think led to this tragedy? Do you believe warning signs are always visible? Or are some moments truly sudden? Share your thoughts below. This is Bear Intel. Until next time, stay aware.